Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Late Challenge podcast with the two of us. On this week's show, we'll be having a moan about airports because I've just got back from holiday and I fucking hate them. There's Robbo's Fact of the Week, some outdoor sleeping for charity, and a little chat about general footy at the weekend. And if you want to hear us talking more about Liverpool Football Club in detail, look out for links under this episode this week to see our new show in collaboration with This Is Anfield, which we have launched. There's going to be a weekly fix of us chatting about the weekend and answering your questions live at 5 on Monday, and probably maybe a second show later in the week. There will definitely be a show released later in the week, won't there?
Yeah.
We're just deciding as we go. I think as
there will be.
As you've followed us on this show, we're building the plane as we're flying it.
We're just going to keep releasing different podcasts until one of them sticks out. We're just going to throw the podcast shit at the wall until some of it sticks.
I think there's definitely like an Alan Partridge thing in this, isn't there?
Yeah. Monkey tennis and all that.
Monkey tennis with Robbo and Kopi.
Just keep going.
I mean, I'd do that one, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Monkey tennis
100%.
with Robbo and Kopi.
Just keep going.
That would get views.
Just keep going until something properly works. Something will work in the end.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, tune into those if you want to listen to us talking more about Liverpool. We're going to start this week with a middle-aged moaning challenge, which I think has become my favourite part of the show. You know, I think it's therapeutic. I've realised, like, I haven't seen a therapist for a while. I'm going to get back into doing that because I've realised I miss it. But this is like taking the place of that for me, just having a little moan.
Do you reckon we could get like dizzy if we both went?
My brain I'm tired. I said to Rob, I only had 2 hours sleep. So when you said dizzy then, I thought you meant like, you know, discombobulated inside our heads.
Oh, discom.
Yeah. Yeah, should we do that same time?
Well, I mean, we both went the same fella, didn't we? So Bellum say, listen, if we both turn up and we, like any hopes.
Well,
his Mrs. listens as well. It's like she might listen.
Dave must listen to this.
Hiya, Dave. What you reckon?
Yeah. Do you know what as well? I always say to clients I coach, we're all just experiencing the same problems in different houses. You're just repeating yourself all the time. So you might as well just do it all together.
Yeah.
Just everyone get in.
Well, that's
and
why
when you say, like, I've got this problem, I go, yeah, me too.
That's why these middle-aged moan things work, aren't they? Because, like, everyone hates the same things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we've done a show, didn't we, the other week about work. Well, everyone's had a problem at work at some time in life, haven't they? Or someone they didn't like or whatever. So they'll watch the show and go, yeah. Remember him? He was a blurt.
Yeah, 100%.
Or whatever.
Well, I reckon everybody will be on board with this one. So I've just got back from holiday, and it was my first family holiday with taking little kids, like with my new family, my step-parent role and all that. So I said to you, I could talk for hours on the joys of parenting, like a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old boy.
I know this pain.
It's dead funny. Do you like whenever you go to people, 2 little kids, and they go, when people go, how old are your kids? Whenever you say 3 and 5, everyone does the same face. Everyone goes, ooh. Yeah. And then when you say boys, I must have seen 3 comedians lately doing the same bit in their sketch about boys versus girls that age. And Joe, we could do the whole show on this. None of this is on the agenda, by the way. We should do the whole show on Joe when people debate the gender things. Like, if you don't think there's a difference between genders, take a 3-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl and see what happens.
And watch.
Jesus Christ. And I remember my nephew who's little. He's now nearly 16, but he was the same as my 3-year-old stepson now, Bobby. It's like they walk into every room they're in or every arena they're in, and they look around and think, what's the quickest way I could kill myself in this room? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, what's the most dangerous thing I could do?
And what things you like in here?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go and wreck it.
Yeah. Literally on my way home from this today, I'm getting a lock from B&Q to put on my door of my office at home because my guitar's in there. Yeah. I'll be downstairs and I'll just hear the guitar go, and you're like, that's a £300 Fender that I bought for myself as a treat. And he's like, I like your guitar. Yeah. I know you fucking do. Yeah. Anyway.
100%. Well, there's only 16 months between my 2 eldest. And so
you've got the girl and boy, haven't you?
Yeah, and I've got the girl and boy. I mean, like, to be fair, she had some terrible tantrums.
Oh, did she?
As a kid, yeah. There was like a really famous one where she absolutely booted off on like a beach and was just lying on the floor and wouldn't move, wouldn't be dragged, wouldn't be nothing. We just sort of we could see her, we didn't abandon her properly, but we sort of went for that. Go on then, you just crack on with that, we're walking this way. And she didn't crack. Do you know what I mean? She didn't go, my mum and dad have got off.
Yeah, she's like,
we had to go back again.
Yeah, my cousin always tells a story about it. His daughter, who's, God, she must be 8 now, but when she was 2, do you know when people do the naughty step? She was so bright. And this is the thing. I remember one of my mates from work years ago, she had dead clever kids. And she said to people everyone goes to, oh, isn't it great? They're dead clever. And she just went one day, sometimes I just wish they were fucking thick. Because they're clever, yeah. But that means they can think of stuff and do stuff and get around stuff.
Yeah.
My cousin's daughter, he started putting her on the naughty step when she was naughty as a punishment. So what she started doing was doing whatever she wanted to do that she knew was naughty, and then going and walking over and sitting on the step.
Yeah.
And looking at him dead in the eye as if to say, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm not arsed.
I'm already here, yeah.
Well, I couldn't care less.
Well, I heard one actually this last week about my youngest lad, is that he's got into like hitting the older brothers he's got, like. But what he does, like when he knows like he's being clocked for it, he hits himself and then says his face hurts to get sympathy.
I mean, how old is he?
2.5.
Yeah, see, that's
it's genius in a way,
it's
isn't
genius
it? Like,
and frightening at the same time, isn't it?
It's like, well, yeah, you
he's
did
like
that to yourself.
self-harming.
Yeah.
And his brothers are like, I never hit him. He's like, and he's going, I've got a bruise.
Yeah.
How would I have a bruise? He's saying I've hit myself. Amazing. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, that wasn't on the agenda. The point of this moan was about airports.
Airports and shit.
Like, honestly, I remember years ago, my old life.
Did you get interviewed, by the way, as though you were robbing the kids? That not happened to you?
Oh, they asked us on the way back whose the kids were.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Whose are these kids? As if you're going to, like, do you know what I love about, this is something I love about the whole airport setup. Like, it's just a scam. Because it's like, what do you think, if I've robbed these kids, my answer to that question is going to be, oh, they're not mine.
They just put you on the spot, don't they, to see how you behave, I think. Because I had that where when they were little, you know, you have to put like the bottles through. You're allowed to take the bottles through, obviously, and stuff like that, aren't you? But then you have to drink some of the milk, you know, to check that it's not like plastic explosive or something. And then like, but yeah, they did a thing where it was on the tarmac with me though. So it was like, you know, I thought we'd done all the checks and I'm marching towards the plane thinking, thank God I do all that bit. I ate all that bit. And then this woman stepped in front of me and said, excuse me, could you tell me your kids' names, where you go and where you've come from, what your name is, you know, like hit me with all these questions. And like I could feel like sweat coming on my forehead and I was thinking, they are my kids though. But I feel like really on the spot, like what have I done? I mean, it was just like a bit of a spot check that you're not getting off with them. Like,
I'm feeling like that would have caught, I know we love talking about our dads and their generation. I reckon that would have caught all of our dads' generations out. Imagine if they went to I remember my mum, someone saying to me, Dad once, what's Paul's date of birth? And he went,
oh, I know, yeah.
And he went,
I've done that.
Me dad,
it's not because you don't care. It's just like your brain's shit, as we've also discussed.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, no, it's the 28th of June, like, but hang on. He's,
Do you know my favourite one as well? I'll go like, Liverpool won the Champions League in 2005. My niece was born the same year. And it's like, you have to reference your niece's birthday with a
but that's
football
just poor
game.
brain. It's not like you don't care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, when you put on... There was one as well where they had all these like sniffers things and put stickers on shoes and all this madness, including with the kids, around like paranoia, around, you know, terrorism or whatever, which I get. But it was just like a bit heavy on a little lad getting involved with all that. It was like, you know what I mean?
It is funny with the kids, isn't it? Because they have to go through the scanners and all that.
Just a bruise, just a raft.
Just
at the edge there. Now I'm happy.
But this is my thing about security. That's my first port of call on this moan about... And this isn't the airport. This is the people who go to the airport. It feels to me like airports are tracked. And maybe it's just because there's so many people there, you're going to get so many idiots.
The security's understandable given what the world's been through.
Yeah, I understand why they do it. I mean, I'll go on to a moan about something you've just said, actually, which ties into what I was saying. But it's the people to begin with. What I want to say to loads of people who are passing through, just tap them on the shoulder and say to them, is this a surprise to you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Joe, before you came to the airport, is this the first time you've ever been to an airport? Did you not know? Have you not seen all the signs that say you can't put that in your fucking bag? It was on the way back, and it ties into something you just said. It ties into a comedian I watched ages ago about this as well. Or everything was getting backed up, right?
Can you not take a water cooler on board now?
Mate, it was like an Italian family. The Spanish fella sitting, Joe, doing the check, he stopped their bag and he went, you need to take the liquids out of that bag. And the Italian fella went, what? And he went, there's liquids in that bag. You have to take them out. And when you think, my benefit of the doubt, I always try and give people the benefit of the doubt. And I'm thinking, he's probably done that thing where you've just forgotten something, do you know what I mean? Or the kids put it in some tiny thing. He starts opening the bag, right? It's stopping the whole thing. So my stuff's behind his. He starts getting stuff out of his bag. He had 3 jars, big jars of baby food and a bottle of water for the kid. And you're
allowed to take that for him.
But you're like,
you're allowed to take some baby stuff for him.
Don't put it in your bag. But then this thing, once you've put it through, it's like they just gave it back to him. And this is the bit I don't get. I saw a comedian the other week doing this. They took his thing he was talking about. I can't remember what it was. He had modelling clay, and they went through and they went to him. They took it out of his bag.
In his hand luggage.
In his hand luggage. He just likes doing modelling stuff, right?
That's weird.
That's weird in itself. I know, but. They went to him. This is the weirdest bit.
Why I'm going to Spain.
Yeah, but I love that. Fucking one for the kids, that reference, isn't it? Morph. But this is the point that I don't get about the security thing. It's like, they went to him, what's that? And he went, it's modelling clay. And they went, you can't have that. And he went, why? And they went, it could be explosive. And he went, it's not an explosive, it's modelling clay. And he went, yeah, but we don't know that, so we're going to take it off you. And he went, what do you mean? And they went, they just took it off him and put it behind them. And he went, that can't be the rule, can it? And they were like, what? Like, it's either modelling clay, in which case I can have it, or it's a fucking bomb, in which case surely your rule can't be you just take the bomb off me and let me get on the plane. Because isn't that fucking stupid?
Yeah, and it's all right to just take out the whole of the airport.
Like, it's fucking madness. And it was the same with this. I was like, so if you want to get, basically what the security is saying is, if you want to get bombs on the plane, just put it in baby formula, because you can take that on. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Like I just said, though, they'll test that, though. So you know what I mean? When I took the box, and you can only take so much.
They didn't open. I was watching this. They didn't open it.
Yeah, well, that's weird. Because when I did it, like I say, when I took the kids away years ago, when they were little, they made me drink the milk, which I wasn't really into. But
I love that as well, though.
I got it.
It's like so right. So if you know that rule, you just need some form of explosive that you can drink, which I'm sure exists.
Stop talking about bombing airplanes, you weirdo.
This is going to be one of those things, isn't it, where some algorithm's going to come after me.
I know, we'll get the channel shut down.
Do you know what?
It's your latest attempt to fucking close this
shut
down.
I know. But my favourite thing about all of this, and I've robbed this from someone else, but I don't know who, so I can't give them credit. After all of that, after all the fucking take your shoes off, go through that scanner, swipe you for bombs, when you go through the plane and you get out the other end, I remember this always baffled me even as a kid. They just put all the bags out and you just take whatever bag you want. Like, they just trust you to take your bag. How is that a thing? How is that just like, and how it works? It's mad, that, isn't it? Like, people just take their own bags. No one robs bags.
I know, yeah, because like you could be robbing someone's bag who's dead hard and just do you in the hole.
I love the way that's where your brain's gone to. That's why it doesn't happen.
Because, you know, you can identify your own bag, can't you? And someone else is having it off. You're like, what are you doing?
Get off me fucking bag.
Get off me bag now.
I reckon we should just start taking other people's.
I mean, I thought when you'd put airports down, I hadn't, because, you know, I'm still having a look at your agenda, to be honest. I understand, like, oh yeah, I've got it there. I understood if you had prices down, because that's what does my Sweden about it. Like I say,
it's getting worse as well. Do you know, being on, we've talked about cost of living stuff on here. The airport's gone to the foot. Like, I put it on here so you've seen it. Burger King, it was €15 for a burger, not for a meal. A burger.
But all of it is just ridiculous. Like, you know, like I went and picked Debbie up and her son up from when they were coming back from their holiday. And you know, like I've just like pulled in to Manchester, going, and I can't remember. I was 12 quid to like park for like a matter of minutes or whatever. We talked
about this last week, didn't we?
And then it was like 6 knicker. And then it, you know, it was saying like they were collecting the bags, and like it was dead early in the morning, and like I absolutely hammer bruise in the morning. I've got to have like a bucket full of tea to get going, and I hadn't really done the tea thing because it was super early, and there was a little Costa there, and I thought I'll just grab one there. Why they're coming to there? And it was like 6 quid or something mad like that, and I just thought, fuck off. Like, all it is a tea bag with some water on, and then you add a bit of milk and blah, blah, blah. And I get that you've got cost and overhead and staff and blah, blah, blah. But you can make a profit and I can have a brew without you being an op-ed.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
And I like that, you know, with the profiteering on top of that does my head in.
Yeah.
Same with bevies and, you know, like pubs and like mad prices. And they're like, oh, we're a bit high end. You're a bit high end. Fuck off. Come on. Do you know what I mean?
But this ties into the thing we were saying the other week, doesn't it?
And an airport's not high end, is
well,
it?
exactly. Firstly, it's not high end.
It's a transport hub.
Yeah, it's a fucking shed. That's what it is.
Yeah, the shit, aren't they, as well? That's the thing. Have you ever seen that where, like, I think it was all the lads, the journalists and that, when they went away, like, covering the Reds in the summer, yeah, put these pictures up of, like, fucking Singapore airport or whatever. And you're like, fucking hell, it's like paradise.
Yeah.
There's a fucking fountain in there and, like, you know, like, I don't know, like people rubbing your feet or something and like, you know, hello, sir, and you know what I mean? Here's some grapes or whatever. I don't know. And then we've got like some man going, all right, yeah, 7 neck of that, please, mate, for a packet of chimneys. And you're like, what?
I love the way you snuck the Manc accents in there.
Got it, haven't you?
But this is this is the thing about me and you said before I went away, we were just chatting about it, I think, before the Patreon show. The parking thing does my head in. It's like, just one day, someone's sitting there again, sitting around the table, and someone's gone, I know how we can make more money off these fuckers. It's like, what? It's like, charge them to come into the airport. It's like, what? Like, yeah, because they have to come in.
Pull into a
there's
bay.
nothing they can do. There's no fucking choice. They just have to give us more. They might as well just put a sign up one day saying, your holiday's an extra £5 this year. It's like, why? Just so you can come into the fucking car park.
And then employ black busies and put like paint or red paint round, like roundabouts and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, why though? Like, you just can make your profit and you're fine and you're all right and just all be sound and fair to people. That's what gets up my nose. And surely that is a regular theme for people, like where you just feel you're being had off. It's like, you know, why is it €15 for the Burger King?
Well,
it's the same shit as in another Burger King.
Yeah.
The same stuff,
mate,
and honestly, it's not €15.
This was on the way back in Ibiza Airport, right? It was the worst Burger King of all time. I reckon they couldn't have gone slower if they'd have tried. Do you know what I mean? And we did that thing because obviously little kids, we'd gone, what should we get them that they can eat? We went to a little deli first and just got them a butty. And straight away they went, no, won't eat that. And I was like, I just looked at Siobhan and was like, that's 30 quid down the drain. Like, it was 30 quid for the first go.
Oh, yeah, with young kids,
you know
it's a nightmare, that,
because that's like, right, well, they're not eating that.
Because you just sometimes go,
yeah, nah. That's what it was. They just looked at me and went, nah.
Pour it on their head or
like,
something.
All right, Burger King then took me out half an hour. They charged me through the fucking teeth. Unbelievable. But anyway,
yeah,
I don't
care.
The last bit on this, I've got mixed feelings on this, right? And I might have changed over time. What's your view? I only want to talk about this because they made a mad announcement on our flight home, which was one of them where, do you know when something happens and you're laughing away to yourself and you're looking around as if to say, doesn't anyone else think this is dead funny? But it's, we talk about our childish sense of humour. Like, it was just me being a little kid, I think. But this is quite a bit separate. What's your view on clapping when the plane lands?
Don't get it.
That started in our lifetime, didn't it?
I think so.
When I went on holiday when I was a kid, no one clapped when the plane landed. Like, no one claps when the bus fucking gets to the...
You won't be surprised to think I would brand it as something a certain subsection of society might do. And it's starting to upset people now, isn't it? Me
Tory.
doing this on here.
Are you going to say that's Tory? Why is that Tory?
But what are you clapping them for? He probably can't even hear you because he's in the front. So I presume you're clapping. I presume you're clapping the pilot.
The pilot for landing the plane. I think that's it, isn't it?
But like, he's just doing his job, isn't he?
But that's
like, so you say like, tar, mate, when you get off.
But even
you don't clap
the
bus driver.
That's my thing. You say thanks as you leave.
Yeah.
And I always say thanks. As I get off the front of the plane, I always say thanks for that.
It's right drive.
Yeah. Give him what we should start doing. I mean, this ties into something we might talk about on the LFC show later. Do you remember when they used to pass like a thing around for the coach driver for on away games?
Yeah.
And you'd all throw a quid in. Maybe we should start doing that for pilots.
Oh, like imagine that. Yeah. Go to the front.
Yeah,
mate, nice one,
mate. 30 quid in there.
Get yourself a drink with
Get yourself 2 burgers in the airport as you pass through.
It is weird. It is a weird thing. Like I can understand if, like, I don't know, like as you're flying, they went, listen, we're going to experience some turbulence, and then it's awful. And he's like, listen, I've gone a slightly different way, or faster, or higher, or lower to make your life better. And then when you get at the end, you're like, all right, mate, well done.
You've seen the movie, the fella who landed it on the river.
Yeah,
what was
Hudson
that?
thing, Hudson River.
His name's Scully or something like that.
Yeah, it's good, that, isn't it?
It's boss.
Yeah,
he deserves a fucking round of applause.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
clap him.
If I was on the river on a fucking boat, I'd be like, where's the pilot?
If he saved your life and that, I think that's fair.
You've gone above and beyond your job there, mate.
Yeah. I think in that circumstance, but I mean, if you just like flown from Liverpool to Dublin in half an hour, and he's, you know, I mean, what's that to him? It's like you know, it's like getting a cab to town.
Well, I mean, this made me laugh on this one because I do like it when it's a bit like going to see a band.
Imagine clapping the cab driver.
We should start doing that. Everyone starts sending in videos of you clapping bus drivers and cab drivers. But what I really like is it's a bit like going to see a gig, Joe, when they talk to you, but they go beyond what they have to say because they all have to do the like, we're going to so many thousand feet, and like that fucking matters. It's just part of it, isn't it? But anyway. The R1, and I mean, think about this. He got a round of applause at the end. R1 at the start of ours went. And anyway, the co-pilot, whatever his name is, has kindly said he'll drive us home. So I'm just going to sit back and relax.
Oh, Sam,
I was like, oh,
put your feet up, lad,
you put your feet up, mate.
Wow.
That's all. And he still got a round of applause at the end. No. But there was this mad, and this might not even be funny outside of my head. There was just this, like, it was about half an hour before we landed. One of the air stewardesses got on they get on the thing to make an announcement, and obviously someone's gone up to ask them to do this, and I thought it's funny. And she just went, we'd just like to say, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Holly in row 7 who just qualified in plumbing and is going to France next year for the Olympics. So we'd like to say a big congratulations to her on the Olympics. And then it just...
What, is she plumbing at the Olympics?
Honestly, as I was listening to it, my brain was going, this sentence doesn't make sense. And I got my phone out immediately to write it down for this show so I wouldn't forget. And this is what happened on the plane.
Olympics.
That's what she said.
She didn't invent it.
She said she'd qualified in plumbing and is going to France next year for the Olympics, because the Olympics even in France next year. But this is what happened on the plane, Joe, when you get that clap where it's just like... three people clapped, and I was like, oh, Holly.
What? I don't get that. But like, why is she being congratulated for the Olympics? She's not competing in it as a plumber, is she?
None of it made any sense. But when you look around thinking, did you hear that? Did anyone else hear that?
Did you dream it?
Honestly, I haven't checked this with Siobhan. This is one of those stories, as I'm saying out loud, I'm like, I did doze off on the plane though. So
where we at? Paris 2024, yeah.
Well, there you go. So
it's a true story.
Is plumbing in the Olympics in Paris?
Let me just check it. Is plumbing an Olympic sport? I don't think it is, but you never know, do you?
Maybe it is.
Because they sometimes throw new ones in, don't they?
They do throw new stuff in.
So it could be like, go ahead, sort out that bath and the bog and the sink, go!
After the end of the world, that's what it's going to be.
Some like lid from Paige Moss, like the champion.
Great at this, lad.
It's right, lad, I'm bush at that. Normally get an half sweetheart on a Friday because I've got all the work done, job and finish, you know what I mean? There's people who've done posts about it saying, like, there's someone who's Eddie.net has got on his site, if plumbing were an Olympic sport, it'd look a lot like this. Team GP call a plumber to stay at Olympic Village amid accommodation fees.
Oh, maybe that was what it is then.
Could be that
maybe
then.
She is going to the Olympics to be a plumber.
So it's to like check that, they can have a turd and all that.
So it might have made sense.
That was 2016, but...
That could be true then, couldn't it?
There you go.
There we go. Maybe I didn't dream it. So anyway.
That was for Rio, to handle any blockages or leaks that might need fixing.
Isn't that funny? When I heard them say plumber going to the Olympics, my brain immediately went to compete, not to fix plumbing stuff in the village.
Tell you what, don't go in there. I had 6 steaks yesterday and it's not working in there now. Go ahead, I'll go in. Well, it's a mad show again so far, isn't it?
Yeah, anyway, got that off my chest. We're halfway through already. There's 2 things for you to talk about this week, aren't there?
Yeah.
Which you do in whatever order you want. You'll talk about the cop.
Oh yeah, so the cop. I am sleeping. I am kipping on the cop, as it's called. I'm looking to raise money for the vulnerable in Liverpool. It's organised by the Liverpool Foundation. Miles ago, at getting in, I'm in. Me and my mates are both doing it. And yeah, I think it's the 9th of September we're doing it. So I'm trying to raise money, sponsorship money between now and then. Managed to get over £1,000 already, which is great. Really made up. The minimum target was 250. So, but I'd just like to keep going. So if people want to throw in, it's for a good cause. I'm going to go and get my head down. I presume on the concourse of the cop rather than like crammed onto a seat. But we'll see.
Literally, what I pictured is you just sleeping on the steps. Which would be a bit mad, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it's surely the concourse, and it says like some of the shops in the concourse will be open and stuff, so you can get like a brew and things like that. I've massively like cocked up in a way, but I'm going to do it. Like I want to do it, and I said to my mate we'd do it together and all that kind of stuff. But it's like the same night as the Real People's 35th anniversary tour date in Liverpool. So I want to see if I can do both, but I'm not sure if that's allowed. We'll see. But if not, might have a spare for the Real People. And I know people now know who the Real People are because we spoke about them on a previous show.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the links if you do want to sponsor me for what is a good cause, obviously, are on Twitter and stuff like that. We'll try and throw them in on the show, within the bump at the bottom and all that. And yeah, if you fancy throwing in, please throw in.
Get on it, support Robbo. Nice one. And well done, mate. It's good.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like, it'll be an experience, won't it?
Well, we can talk about on this.
So yeah, in the pub after the match, a couple of mates were like, you're not getting any kip, And I was like, I am. And then they were like, you're not getting, and I was like, mate, I said, I'm taking my sleep mask, me pillow spray. I've got things for my ears now, little earbud things that you put in at night that are absolutely brilliant. Thanks to Stu Wright for that. So they cut out 27 decibels of noise.
Oh, wow.
All of these things help. I'm getting kip. I love me kip. I'm getting kip. Anyway.
What do your mates think is going to happen? There's going to be
you just think it'll be so
like
uncomfortable.
a pyjama party. You won't be able to sleep.
You won't, it'll be so uncomfortable, cold, etc. And loads of people will just be pissing about and talking and that you just won't get any kip, basically.
Will you film it? I'd love it if people were trying to talk while you're trying to get to sleep.
I'm just going to...
As like a big community spirit thing. This is where you'll turn into me.
But I'll have shut up. They'll be in. The buds will be in. The mask will be on. Me lavender spray on the pillow.
I love that.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I shall report back how it
when
goes.
Is it?
9th of September, I think it is.
Okay.
So a couple of weeks, yeah. And yeah, fact of the week as usual. Someone sent this to me, so thanks for that. I mean, I did already know about it. And I first thought, could I do that as a fact of the week? Not sure. But then I asked around a bit if people knew about it. And a few people said yeah, but a few people said no. And it made me think there could be an audience for this. And like you tend not to have heard certain things, and obviously we've grown up in different parts of the city and all that kind of stuff. So I'll just open this one by saying, what do you know about Kirby? Have you got any? Ever said to you Kirby? What do you think?
I haven't got any. I wouldn't be able to give you any like interesting facts about it. Kirby's close to. I was brought up in McGull, on the north side, so Kirby's just like over the back fields from there. Yeah,
that's not far, is it? So you haven't, for instance, heard then about Kirby ski slope?
No. I mean, fair to say, the first thing that came into my head, I thought I might not say that out loud when I'm on a podcast. So it definitely wasn't about the ski slope, no.
So it wasn't Kirby ski, so you thought of some of the more negative connotations of the town. Well, for those that don't know, Kirby is in Knowsley, which is part of Merseyside. And it used to be fields once upon a time, but it is no longer. It's a big, massive housing estate, pub, shopping centre, all that kind of stuff. There used to be Kirby Sports Centre as well, and there also used to be Kirby Ski Slope, which is very, very random. And the story of this is, well, I mean, where to start with it? It's absolutely wild. So it was the wrong way round for a start. So they built this ski slope, and basically, if you were skiing down it the way they built it, you were basically skiing in the direction of a main road and a roundabout. Basically near the Fazachley turn off on the 57. So there was that. So that's mad.
But it came out onto the road.
Like you were going in the direction of that. So, you know, like you wouldn't want to be going that way, would you? You would think you would climb up that way and ski down away from the direction of the road, you know, just in case, like.
Yeah.
But no, it was that way, one. Two, the construction of it was absolutely shit, basically. Really, really bad. There was basically an advert in the Echo for people to turn up and dump shit. So like it basically said free tip in Kirby. So people turned up, you know, like workies and all that turned up with just basically a load of shit, bricks, whatever. And we're just banging it into this site on Kirby, and they slowly started to build a hill out of it.
Oh, that would literally like bring your shit down and we can build a ski slope out of it?
Yeah.
Fucking
So that's wild also, isn't it? So they built a big hill.
I mean, we're going to do it. I think we should do a whole, maybe again, a separate podcast, a separate show, a book about Joe, like based on that idea of people sitting around the table and coming up with ideas.
Well, there's an absolute. So if you want to go away after you've listened to me tell you this story and go and look for yourself, there's an absolutely. So someone at the BBC's obviously found this in like fairly recent years, and they released the news report that was done about it. And so I think it's like BBC Archive. It pops up on Facebook definitely, and it's on other channels, and it's just there if you Google it, and it's worth watching because the fella who does the report on it, this is back in the 70s, like, but the fella who does the report on it's brilliant. Like it's really good how he's done the report, and he actually goes to a pub, and he says about, you know, like, so the council leader was here. The architect was here, and this builder was here, and he paused.
He literally does the meeting.
He paused like 3 drinks out and all that, and then tells the story of it. Like he said this, and he said that, and then they did this, and then off they went. And he just takes the piss about what a mad idea and what a absolutely wild concept, and why is it here? Shows you how shit it is. Everything. It's worth a watch. But yeah, so it was never actually skied on officially, although in this BBC report they just get some like fella to have a go of it, and it was eventually knocked down before it fell down. But the BBC reported in that piece that I'm talking about that it was built without planning permission. It was built over a water main, and this is the best bit, it was built on land the council didn't actually own.
Oh, fucking
so all of which is absolutely amazing, isn't it? In August the 12th, 1975, the Liverpool Echo reported that 3 years ago, the Kirby ski slope was planned as the centrepiece of the town's sport complex, a tribute to forward-thinking councillors. Today, it stands unloved and unwanted, weeds already showing through the plastic surface. It's a huge embarrassment, and at a current cost of £150,000, a distinct liability. They also spent £5,000 on it trying to debump it because it just ended up like these huge bumps in it, which made it, you know, unusable. And if all that's not mad enough for you, something that struck me as I was sort of like pulling together the facts of this little story, I thought I'd have a go at the Bank of England's inflation calculator. So I've just said £150,000 there, and you might just go, oh yeah, £150,000. But this is in the 70s. It's now 2023. And with inflation between the 70s and 2023.
Well, right, before you say it, right, I love doing this. Everyone listening or watching,
150,000 is, what's your guess?
Oh my God. I never used to do guesses because you're going to make a fool of yourself. I'm going to say, and I've got no idea on numbers or anything, right? I'm just doing a wild guess. 1.5 million.
Good guess, 1.3.
Yeah.
1.3 million pounds.
Wow.
On a mad ski slope that didn't have planning permission, over a water main, facing the wrong way.
Built on out of shit. Rubbish. Yeah.
And all because someone somewhere was... It stinks of backhanders, really, did it? And I think that's fair to say because there was an investigation about it, but I just thought I'd leave the names out. You can go and look what the names are yourself.
That is wild, isn't it?
It's absolutely mad, isn't it?
That's mad.
Yeah, so that's the fact this week.
Nice one. I love it. Joe, I've stopped asking where you get them from. Do you reckon you'll get to the point like, what's the fella who does the ghost stories? Where you're slamming and you're just turning up saying things, just making shit up.
I bought books and everything to try and keep this going. And you know, obviously some people do send me them as well. If you have got a fantastic fact that you think I haven't covered, by all means, send them over.
Send it in.
But I bought a couple of books as well, which are just full of mad stories, some of which I don't think I'm ever going to tell on here, others which are good. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep going. I mean, what are we up to now? Over 6 months of doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm still
You're
going.
doing well.
I'm still
You're doing
going.
well.
So, yeah, Carrie, what's next then?
Where's
Where's the agenda?
a nice segue from one thing built on shit going in the wrong direction to another.
Are we doing Everton?
We're talking about Everton.
Sorry, the Blues.
Sorry, the Blues. I know some of you watch. Yeah, we're going to have a chat about general footy, just because it's nice to have a little chat about the wider footy stuff sometimes, isn't it? And we're going to talk, as I said, we're going to talk Liverpool on the other shows now. So
yeah.
I thought, and I was just laughing to myself. I know we talked about this last year, and we had it at the end of last season. We had the chat about the Blues and stuff, and our views on wanting them to stay up or not, and blah blah. But I was laughing to myself, like as I wrote this, but like great start to the season. But like I've literally just been on holiday with me brother-in-law who's an Evertonian, his dad who's an Evertonian, and my nephew who's an Evertonian. And I always said because when my nephew was born, I had people saying to me, "So you're going to make sure he's a Red?" And I was like, "No." Because his dad's an Evertonian, so if his dad takes him the match, I wouldn't like it if I was,
like,
had a son and someone else tried to turn him.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, if his dad takes him the match, he should be an Evertonian. He should follow what his dad follows. But I've wound him up obviously his whole life. I used to say he sang "You'll Never Walk Alone" in his sleep when he stayed in mine and that. And the next day, I'd be like, do you remember doing that? I'd be like, shut up. And when you realise you turned into Uncle Knobhead, and he's like, shut up. Uncle Paul, being a knobhead. But I always say to my brother-in-law and his dad when I'm with him, like, it's child abuse. Like, think of the life he could have had if he was a Liverpool fan. He's coming on to 16 now. The things he'd have seen us win. And instead, he has to deal with this shit. And another season started. And I was laughing, like, when I wrote this, saying they've done well. Good start, keeping the goal difference down to, what are they on, -5 already?
Bottom of the league.
And well, what do you think? Like, they
were incredibly shit.
They bought Ashley Young, and it's just like, that's wild. And then they're being linked with Che Adams, and whenever I see it, it's like when they bought Neil Maupay, and I'm like, look, I'm by no means an expert in footy, right? But Neil Maupay's shit, and Che Adams is shit. They're not gonna save your fucking football club. Why are you wasting this money on them? I don't get it.
I didn't get why. I don't get. Well, I don't get them in loads of ways, and I do wonder what they're going to do next. I mean, like, I didn't see any of their game against Fulham, but I believe like they were quite unfortunate, like, to not get something from that game, the home game that they started the season with. But I did watch them against Villa, and they were absolutely awful all over the show. Really bad errors, like really bad goals to concede, like, mad things like Ashley Young thinking he can absolutely launch the ball from like one side of the pitch to the other on a throw-in, and it turns out he can't. And it turns out it just goes to a Villa player and he scores. And like Michael Keane just not doing a very good impression of a centre-half. And like, you kind of think, well, like, I don't think Conor Cody's the best player in the world or anything, but like he seems like, number one, like a good bloke, a dedicated fella, a fella who'll put his heart into it. And he's all right, like, isn't he? I mean, I don't profess to be an expert either. I'm just a footy fan. But I find it a bit mad that they could have got him for 4 million. They jibbed him off. They let him go. They've gone with Michael Keane, who's looked bad for quite a while. And Cody ended up going to Leicester, I think, for like 8 million. So that's all a bit weird at that end of the pitch. And then you've got the madness of Pickford, just randomly like looking to lash people in the face and stuff on the regular. And he's just a bit of a mad character, I think.
Well, I always remember Chris Kirkland recommended him to Liverpool, didn't he? And I remember him being annoyed that like we didn't pick him up because he was like England #1 and all that. And I look at him and think, yeah, but there's a reason we didn't want him, isn't there? He's a fucking head case.
And like Che Adams, I'm just not sure that fixes a lot. I mean, isn't he just another fella who's meant to be a goal scorer but doesn't score enough?
Score goals, yeah. Like,
but what I wonder about, I mean, like, there is a side. I mean, me and one of my best mates are talking about this just earlier today, funnily enough. Like, we have got mates who are Blues, and like, you do, our mate who's a Blue, who's in our group, if you like, goes and everything, like, and like, you do kind of think like, this must be, joking aside, like, grim experience, like 3 seasons of absolute shite, of like battling relegation, of your club making really mad decisions, of your club not learning from its mistakes, etc., etc. And like, you know, Dyche, like, I don't mind him, but like, you know, like if he doesn't work out and then the usual media cycle starts kicking in and it's like he goes and then they're after another manager, who wants the job? You know what I mean? Because you must be looking at it from the outside, and if your agent goes, that's going, do you want me to put you forward for that? You go, not going near that. It's an absolute mess.
Well, but just the thing I know what you mean, but the thing it also ties into something I want to talk about, like about other teams in the league and your views on other managers and things. Because I've heard people say over the years, like, oh, the manager doesn't have that much of an impact and stuff like that. But I sat and watched. I very rarely watch anyone other than Liverpool, but I watched Everton away at Brighton at the end of last season, and we were talking about this while I was on holiday. They're the bits of footy I don't get. Like Everton that day, like I watched it because I thought Brighton are going to batter them here and they'll be down. Like if they lose this game, when you're looking at their fixtures, they lose this game, they're done. Everton were unbelievable. They were all over them. They were You couldn't believe it was the same Everton team that you'd seen bits of all season. But that for me, and I was saying this to my family on holiday, that would piss me off more if I was an Evertonian, because like, so they're capable of this, and someone can get it out of them at some point, but most of the time they can't. What does that fucking tell you? And when you see like, and we'll dip into him in a minute, but like I like the new guy, the ex-Celtic manager that's at Spurs now. They come in and they look at players and they go, I was chatting to my nephew about this actually, like because he has been in academy football since he was 4, and I was asking him about his favourite position, and he was always a centre midfielder. They've tried him like as a 10, as a 6, but he was telling me he likes to play out wide because he gets more space, and like he said, when you're playing centre mid, you've got people coming at you from all angles, whereas when you're out wide, a bit like I suppose the Trent thing. And I was telling him about Gerrard's favourite position, his best season under Benitez when he played right wing basically, and he'd never wanted to play there, but he scored 20 odd goals, didn't he? And it was unbelievable. But I also mentioned the one that always pops into my head is Firmino for this. Like, if there's a sliding doors world where Brendan Rodgers wins the league and Firmino, he keeps his job, and Firmino is played as a right winger.
Firmino gets off if Brendan Rodgers stays.
Yeah, but this is the thing. But we've seen this before, haven't we, Joe? Someone gets a chance at somewhere like Liverpool and then the career just fades away. Klopp comes in and goes, your squad's well better than you think it is, you know. And everyone's like, what? You're like, have you seen him? And they're like, we were all like, he's shit. He's a slow right winger. He's like, he's not a fucking right winger. That's the fucking problem. Plays him as a false 9. One of the best players we've seen, like in later generations of Liverpool sporting. But that world would have been completely different if it wasn't for Klopp coming in and going, no, he's bosh, you know. And the way I play footy, it's great. I heard the Spurs manager saying the same about Basuma. Like, I remember we were linked with Basuma years ago, and he'd gone off, hadn't he? He's come in and gone. He's fucking great for my type of footy, and he's got man of the match 2 games on the run. Yeah. So managers can have that impact on a squad, and that's the thing about when I look at Everton, and I think, because I was asking, I always like to ask fans of the clubs, well, what do you actually think, rather than us just judging based off match of the day, whatever. Because I thought him going in and like solidify them at least. So they'd be solid. They wouldn't be anything adventurous, but they'd finish mid-table, it'd be fine. So the way they've started, I'm like, that's a bad sign, isn't it? With lads he likes, Keane and Tarkowski are his boys, aren't they, from Burnley?
I know. I mean, you do kind of think he's doing it a little bit with his hands tied. He would obviously want more players in and all that kind of stuff. But
are they fucked money, like money wise?
Well, there was a bit of a thing about them complying with FFP, wasn't there, and all that kind of stuff, and what have you. But they got a lad in from like Leeds, haven't they? And they're still sort of linked with other players, Shea Adams, you mentioned, and stuff like that. But they're already like 3rd favourites to go down. Not surprisingly, alongside Luton and Sheffield United. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it unfolds, but it's definitely going to be sort of, it's obviously going to be long, hard slog yet again and all that kind of stuff. And it just can't be fun. That, I mean, like my mate who's a Blue who goes, like, his missus, what we were joking about it the other day, his missus went through this phase of like sort of like, you know, videoing and watching Everton at home and like putting it on her Instagram and stuff like that, because it's just him like going mad and like tearing his hair out and all that. But he started going again now. And I said, well, it can't be fun. And he's like, I don't mind it in a way. He said, because, you know, like I get the sort of day out and, you know, I get to go to Goodison and all that kind of stuff, have a day out at the match. He said, and even if we are poor and we are losing and all that, he said, I've sort of got it out my system then. Do you know what I mean? He said, whereas I'm just at home, like bouncing around the living room. That's, you know, so that it sounds like he's got a coping mechanism, I guess I'm saying, which is, at least that's good for him.
But I remember talking about this on a rap years ago on that show we did, Flat Earthers, whatever it was called, and people still literally come up to me in the street and mention that show to me, because we talked about like, you know, fucking this thing that we do that's meant to be fun. Like it's meant to be entertaining. And when you think about how few footy fans actually get that experience.
But then it's when it comes though, isn't it? It's like, you know, it's the hope that kills you type of thing. Because, you know, I mean, we've been fortunate. We are fortunate. I always say that about supporting Liverpool, that even when it's supposed, like, you know, this season, we might well talk about this, you know, on the other show or whatever. But like, you know, what are the realistic targets for Liverpool? Well, even if you think there's problems and all the rest of it, you're probably still looking at top 4, aren't you? I think. And you know,
I think everyone's talking about winning a European Cup.
Yeah, and it's like, you know,
Cup.
That's whereas other clubs, it's like 3 seasons of this slog with people in charge that you don't want there, you know, and you know, watching players that you just know aren't good enough, watching players that would transfer mistakes but you can't move on, and you're asking them to score goals when they can't score goals and all that. And it's like, you know, yeah, you can definitely have things a lot worse. But like I've sort of like, I don't know, I feel a bit like re-energized regardless. I mean, I went through a stage of like feeling really low about football, really, and there's still loads to feel low about. But like, I went to a non-league game the other week, and like I really enjoyed it. Not least because, I mean, I went to see Marine. It was the first time I'd seen Marine in a long time. They played FC United. Because I went thinking, well, there'll be a bit of needle because it's like Scousers and Manx, etc. 1,600 people there, which is like a fantastic attendance at that level. It's essentially Division 7 of football. Took me lad, and Marine won 5-1.
Did United bring fans with them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So and it was good. Do you know what I mean? And there was an absolutely cracking goal as well, like a real like proper whoa. And I was speaking to some lad that who were bumped into, who used to go to uni with Dave, and he said, oh yeah, he used to be at Everton, that kid, like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, some goal, that, like. And it was good. It was just sort of like, you know, going and enjoying the footy and without the stress and all the rest of it. And I wonder, is that why the likes of Marine are getting 1,600 now? Is the people who are getting like a bit disillusioned with the stuff at the top, and sort of checking it out more of at a grassroots level and go, oh yeah, I like all this side of it, and I don't like all that side of it. So maybe I'll do a bit more of this side of it. I know, I can't remember. I think it was 12 quid for me and a £5 for me lad.
Well, it's funny that, isn't it? Because again, we might get into this on the Liverpool show we did, but because when we were preparing for that, it made us both think about first time going the game and blah blah.
Yeah.
And it does, that reminds you just how much, like, it just, and this is proper middle-aged stuff to say, isn't it? But how much it's changed in our lifetime.
Oh,
like
yeah.
literally, like, and even this thing of like you can't get a ticket for Anfield.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
That was just nonsense. That's a new thing, isn't it? That's a modern age phenomenon. Yeah. Like, I think, did you say the first game you went to, there was like 17,000 people there?
You're robbing me content here.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But yeah, that was the thing, and look, you know, you could go to games,
but that's it. Like you go and you taking your lad. You just taking your lad. We joked about this on I think the very first Late Challenge podcast, didn't we, about Brookie? And so we watched the first episode of Brookside, and they're saying to each other, dads and lads saying to us, do you fancy going to the match later? On the Saturday, do you fancy going the match later? Like, and we just, if they want to go, they just turn up. And it wasn't like, it's a month's wages or anything.
I can remember like the turn on that, and I can remember older fans saying, I know what they're doing here. And like, you know, like football's going in another direction here. It's getting marketed like it's never been before. You look at that. There's a document, an FA document. I've got a copy of it, and it's called Blueprint for Football. It's from 1992, and it's like in it. It's quite revelatory to, if that's even a word, to read it now, because it's all about like we plan to make it more accessible to people abroad, to people of a different social sphere and all this kind of stuff, and that's what they've done, and that by marketing abroad and putting club shops abroad and the TV revolution and the internet and all the rest of it, it's obviously like generated this huge demand. And that, I had a situation only a few weeks ago where a lad I know got in touch with me, and obviously he knows I go to games, and he said, my lad's starting to like show an interest here, wants to go. What do we do? He said, I've looked at the website and that, and he said, it's not, I don't think it's that clear. And I said, it's not. It's hard. And I said, and he went, so what's the crack? How do I get going? And I was like, you've just got to buy memberships for you and your son and just start joining the lottery, basically. I was like, you probably got more chance of seeing Taylor Swift at Anfield than Liverpool, you know what I mean? Because that's where we're getting to now with it. And is that a good thing? Swings and roundabouts.
Well, it's funny because it takes me back around, because I mean that 1992, that's all. And I do think, and I know like this is a whole different topic which we haven't got time for today, and we touched on it on a Patreon show about the Saudi Arabian thing and all that, and the influence over footy. But I do think there is an element, and don't get me wrong, I'm not like supporting state funded football, like just sweeping over everything. But there is an element of irony to the whole thing. When you go back to like 1992 and that plan and what the Premier League has done to football and Sky and the TV money and all that, and you're like, all right, lads, you just got you fucking knickers in a twist because someone else is doing what you did, and they've got more money because they've got unlimited funds, whereas you had to do it commercially, and you did a fucking good job of your plan, by the way. But the funny back end of that now is. And this ties into what I was going to say about, like, I was laughing because I actually heard someone else say this. Might have been on the wrap about United and going into this season and Casemiro, and they bought him last year, and that's the type of signing Liverpool fans be like, you just buy someone like him. But someone was saying at the end of last season, he looked like his legs were falling off then. And he, like, apparently at the start of this season, they've been shite in midfield and he's looking exposed. And you saw even Guardiola joke. Did you see him in one of his press conferences about Saudi? Like, or like not all the clubs over here like opening the doors and welcoming him in, because he should get out of jail. Get out of jail free card now, aren't they? Like funds wise, it's like, oh well, if we want to shift someone on that we wouldn't have been able to sell otherwise, shift them over.
Because he's got a contract to like 2026, hasn't he? And everyone sort of winced at it at the time, but it was a bit like, well, we've got to get someone in. They'll get him in. They give him this long contract, but obviously like. A lot of people would sort of see it in the post that it might end up being a problem. But I think it's funny, just on Saudi quickly, that, like you'd have the likes of Richard Masters, I think it is, from the Premier League, saying like, oh no, nothing to worry about and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, really? Well, you know what? Like, if they just keep throwing the money, and apparently there's 17 billion there to throw at football, they'll just keep throwing the money. The people will keep going, whether we like it or not, and whether he likes it or not. And it's not going to mean like the end of the Premier League or anything daft like that. It's a different thing, isn't it? I mean, like, I'm not going to ever not support Liverpool. Liverpool are my club, so I'm just going to drop them and suddenly start following someone abroad. But there's like other generations and people from elsewhere and all that kind of thing. You've got this other way of following football, if you like, where they follow stars and all that kind of stuff. And, you can imagine it, the standard will raise, it'll end up on the telly, they'll push to get in probably the Champions League or the World Club Cup. If they get knocked back, they'll probably just start their own competition. And, like, you can see all these things developing, and like the sort of blasé attitude of people at the Premier League. I wonder whether that's just a bit of a public facade about it all.
I'd be amazed if it's not, wouldn't you?
I know. I mean, I'm a bit sort of, I look at it and say, well, we keep hearing about this World Club Cup and the fact that it's going to expand, and they want that to be a competition that people want to be in, and it's prestigious and all this kind of stuff. And then at the same time, this Saudi thing's coming up on the shoulder as well. I just think, that's a coincidence, isn't it? Like, it almost feels like someone somewhere was already having a bit of a chat, maybe.
A little chat behind the scenes. Yeah. Well, should we leave it there?
Yeah, let's leave it there.
We've done a nice stint. We've got other content to record now, haven't we? So, as I said, if you are interested in listening to us talk more about Liverpool exclusively, I know that's not for some of you, which is why we're keeping it separate. That's the whole point. Then check out the links below the show. If you like this show, please continue to support us. You know, we love your support. Share, like, subscribe, tell your mates about it, leave a podcast review, whatever you can do. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.